Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our YNR chat for Sunday, September 1st, 2013. Even in death, Catherine Chancellor is leaving me intrigued on many different levels. Jill is consumed with this scavenger hunt that in all reality she's pretty much created for herself, I think, in my opinion. Catherine left her this letter that said Catherine wants Jill to have everything that Catherine held dear. And Jill has interpreted this as the fortune. That Catherine has left her the fortune. And so she's looking all through the manor, practically tearing it up, trying to find where the clue is to this mystery that's going to lead her to the Chancellor money. And I just think this is so misguided of Jill, and I'm sure that we all realize this. Jill has never gotten what she wanted from Catherine, so why would it start now? I think Jill has just almost overestimated herself. She thinks that in the end, she's going to come out on top, and it's probably always going to be Catherine. Jill's probably never really going to get what she wants, and I think maybe that's one of the things I like most about Jill, and it is wonderful seeing Jill all over my screen this week. I'm loving it. Jill finally cracks the safe, that safe that's right there behind the picture in the mansion. She becomes convinced that that must be where the next clue is, so she goes through a series of numbers. Is it Catherine's birthday? No. My birthday? No. Finally gets that it's Catherine's sobriety date and opens up the safe, and inside of it is just this pencil sketch of Catherine. It's this very, kind of just mysterious, almost Mona Lisa-like portrait of sketch of Catherine. She's just sitting there, kind of in her living room, with, bejeweled as she always was, and just giving this sort of look, an intriguing look. It was not really a smile, not really a somber look. It was just sort of the lady of the manor look, like she's got kind of something up her sleeve, which we all know that she tended to. And I think Jill was immediately kind of disappointed that this wasn't the big reveal, but couldn't help but admit that it was a very lovely piece of art. I wonder, does anybody know the behind-the-scenes story of this pencil sketch? Is there some kind of significance? Did somebody on the set draw it as a tribute to Jean, and they decided to work it into the story? I'm curious if anybody knows the hidden story behind that sketch. I'd be very interested in hearing that. Now, Jill decides to frame the piece, and she just keeps looking at it, staring at it, thinking that this is the next clue, that this is what's going to lead her to the next point on the scavenger hunt. And she notices down in the corner of the portrait, one of the books that is sitting on the table next to Catherine is a familiar book. So Jill goes to the bookshelf, grabs it out, looks at it, and a bookmark falls out of it and onto the floor, and it has the initials engraved on it, GR. And Jill knows immediately that this must be a reference to Catherine's late husband, Gary Reynolds, who I'm not the world's greatest YNR historian. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't watching from the very beginning, so I know that there are things I don't know. From my understanding, Gary Reynolds was Catherine's first husband. I believe he was a character that was never really on the show. He was Brock's father. She was married to him, and he was actually the person who built the Chancellor Mansion for her. But all of this, to my understanding, took place before the show. This was all Catherine's backstory. So we never actually saw him, and I think he's probably not, he really hasn't been mentioned all that much. I mean, I've been watching for 20 years, and I really don't feel very familiar with the character, but I think it's a really nice callback. I think that the writers are probably trying to pay homage to the character by really acknowledging where she came from and trying to hit on all of those historical points. So it was actually kind of nice to see them bring that up. But Jill's wondering how is this going to connect to anything? What does he have to do with any of this? And she also notices, by way of Esther, that the necklace that Catherine is wearing in the photo is also a piece that Gary had given to Catherine. And I'm watching all this, and of course I'm intrigued and I'm going along with the ride, but at the same time I'm thinking, does Jill really believe that Catherine would send her on this elaborate goose chase? Does she really think that this is what Catherine wants for her? Really? Catherine said in the letter, the answer is right in front of you. Right in front of you, not on some crazy wild goose chase where you have to infer things from many years ago, things about her that maybe no one else would know. I mean, Jill's problem in this scenario, and probably in a lot of her life, is that she can't see the forest for the trees. I'm really curious to know, when it all comes out, did the picture really have anything to do with the clue that Catherine was trying to give Jill? Is there really even a clue? I feel as if Jill is going to be disappointed at the end of the day, but I also believe that Catherine had a really good understanding of Jill and who she was, and that was apparent even in that very first letter that Nikki read aloud to the group on the day we found out that Catherine had died. Catherine made that quip that we all loved and talked about, that I'm sure even at this moment when you all are discovering of my death, Jill is finding a way to make it about her. Catherine predicted that about Jill's character. So on the one hand, I think that this Jill mystery is probably something obvious, but on the other hand, I think that Catherine had this wonderful way of anticipating what Jill's next moves were going to be. So I don't know, maybe she realized that this was going to be Jill's reaction. It is a little bit, I think, in poor taste that Jill seems to be concerned about the money. If Catherine was going to leave Jill her fortune, it would just be in the will. I think that what Catherine was trying to tell Jill is something much deeper. What Catherine really valued above everything else was her family and her friends, and to a lesser extent, I think, her business and her charity involvements. And that would be the legacy that Catherine would want to leave, or that would be the quality that Catherine would hope Jill would embody. I don't think at the end of the day Jill's going to inherit the estate or the money or anything else, which is a little bit sad because it would be nice to see Jill become the new lady of the manor and breathe some life into the place while keeping with the tradition, you know, have some people over and become the center of that part of the family. I would certainly love to see that. I love Jill. I don't know if Jess Walton is intending to stay on far beyond when we resolve Catherine's death. I'm not sure how much she'll be worked into the story, but Jess Walton really was Gene Cooper's co-star. So she deserves to be there in this moment, and I do appreciate that they're separating Jill out a little bit and really focusing on her reaction, however in poor taste it may be, because she is a little concerned about the money. Billy shows up, finally. Where was Billy all of this past week? Shouldn't Billy have been initially with the family when they found out that Catherine had died? There was no letter to Billy. I mean, Kane got a letter, and Kane is no more related to Catherine than Billy is now, so it's odd that Billy was left out of this, but he's talking with Jill, and it was crass. I have to admit, it was crass that he was saying, so what are you going to do with the fortune when you get it? And Jill tried to play it off, and she said, you know, I can't even begin to imagine what I would do with the money, and I'll tell you right now, I would give it all up to just have one more day with her. And I believe that that was sincere. I believe that Jill feels a loss of her friend. And Jill had theorized that maybe Catherine is sending me on this scavenger hunt so that it would take my mind off of the loss of this huge part of my life. When Catherine died, something had to die down in Jill. There was, I think, a part of Jill that kept going just to stick it to Catherine, and now that's gone, and she needs something to fill that void. So Possibly it is. I would like to believe that Catherine would have left Jill something, that she would have acknowledged their connection, their bond, and yes, their feud in some way other than, giving her the big F you. I hope that in the end, Jill gets something and is somehow compensated, or, even if it's not money, somehow I hope that what Catherine left for Jill is meaningful. I think Jill needs to focus on her family, and Kane's letter was an indication of that. Catherine had left a letter for Kane, and among other things had thanked him for taking care of Chancellor Industries while she was off having this final vacation, enjoying her last days with her husband. But she also asks Kane to look after Jill. So it almost indicates that that is really what Catherine's final concern for Jill was, that she becomes surrounded with her family. So it was good finally to see Billy. I'm surprised he wasn't around before. I am looking forward to the memorial next week. I believe it seemed like the preview for Monday's show had everyone maybe getting up and saying a few words about Catherine. I was looking into the audience or trying to see who I could see, and did it seem small to anyone else? Did anyone else think, maybe who was there? I could see Danny in the background. Father Todd came he's gonna, I guess, officiate or, see over the ceremony, which is wonderful, of course. As we know, that is Gene Cooper's son, so that is very fitting, and I think really a nice touch that he's going to be there. But who else did you guys see in the crowd? I was maybe thinking Nina would be nice, Chris. I mean, there's a million different people. Mac, and I think even someone mentioned Mac recently in reference to Catherine. So I would love to see Mac, as played by Ashley Bashonium, I believe is how you said her name. I thought she was a cool actress. I would have liked to have seen her come back. Gosh, there's a million different people. Brock, who seem like they should be at the memorial, and I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that Y&R brings in an awesome parade of people who've come in and out of Catherine's lives. Obviously, it made sense for the characters to be at the mansion to learn of her death, the people who are on the show currently. I mean, you can't just bring everybody back on. But for the memorial, I think they should bring in a host of people from Catherine's past. And my question to you is, who would you like to see? Catherine Chancellor is one of the core characters. She goes all the way back almost to the beginning, and I really want to know who would you like to see attend Catherine's memorial service. Go ahead, feel free to leave me a list. Let me know who it is that you wouldn't mind seeing again. It's hard to believe this is even possible, but I think Nikki's letter from Catherine is perhaps even more cryptic than Jill's. I don't know what to make of what Catherine's final wishes for Nikki are. Catherine had said a lot of lovely things to Nikki, but the odd part of it is that Catherine is encouraging Nikki to make a phone call. There's some kind of phone call that Nikki needs to make. And Catherine, I think, even left a phone number, because as Nikki is just really struggling with this decision that Catherine has asked her to do something that she's not comfortable with, or that is is a part of a painful memory somehow, Paul comes in. And he comes to see Nikki, visits her, and realizes how upset she is. And it's not just that Catherine is gone. There's something beyond losing her friend that is even more painful for her. And Nikki asked Paul to look into this phone number. And so Paul, apparently, I don't know why Nikki couldn't call the number herself, but apparently the phone number is disconnected. And this just creates kind of another wall, a little bit of a roadblock for Nikki. But it was nice to see Nikki finally break down with Paul. Lord knows she should be doing it with Victor, but it was nice for them to be sharing a moment. I really don't know what it could be. There is an implication that there is some sort of secret that only Nikki and Catherine knew about that had to do with Nikki. So what is it? You guys have got to have a ton of theories, and I keep reading online that, oh no, is it possible that Dylan is going to turn out to be Nikki's son, or what else? There was another one, maybe Dylan was Catherine's son, or some people seem to be connecting it maybe in with Dylan, because certainly after he finds out the truth about Connor, he's not going to have a whole lot of connection in Genoa City. I hope they don't do that, though. I'm not looking forward to Nikki having some child that we didn't know about. They did that with Catherine, but that would almost make sense, because that was something that Catherine went through a few years ago. She had given a child away and had to struggle with those memories. Remember when she kept having those nightmares of a baby crying? I hope that it's not that with Nikki, but I don't know what it was. I initially assumed that whatever this was that Catherine left Nikki in the letter was going to connect somehow to Chancellor Industries, and I thought, oh, well, that's just fabulous. I think that would be very interesting to see Nikki at Chancellor Industries, and I still think there might be a possibility of that. Just watching the way some of the scenes are connected makes me think, I still do wonder if Nikki is going to be an inheritor of the business. But as far as this letter is concerned, hey, by just side note, when is the will going to be read? I'm guessing maybe not next week, but the week after. I am looking forward to the reading of the will. That will be good. But whatever it is in this letter to Nikki has something to do with her past, some sort of secret that she's keeping, and she's really struggling with it. Nikki, it was looking beautiful, sitting in that high-backed chair in her kind of baby blue button-up shirt, and her hair was up in this perfect kind of French twist, and she was just looking so beautiful while she's contemplating telling Victor the truth. And I think Catherine was also encouraging her to tell Victor the truth. And it's funny because Nikki was in this very morose moment and just looking so beautiful. Sometimes I just look at her and I just want to grab her and just bottle her up and keep her in my medicine cabinet so that I can just grab her when I need her. She's so cute. I just love her, but I feel totally baffled as to what this secret might be. Again, it seems as if scenes with Nikki are tied in to what's going on between Adam and Victor now, because after Nikki leaves, Adam and Victor have this moment at the ranch where Adam yet again brings up the idea of a takeover of Chancellor Industries, as if that's something that they can just do, as if that's even, they're just, why not? Hey, why not take it over? It's a bit, the owner's dead. Of course we should be able to take it over. But I just feel like that's going to be key somehow. Adam wants to take over Chancellor Industries. He is still making these sneaky phone calls to his secret investor that he's been sporadically making over the last several months, and we've had no real indication as to who it was. And I really, really thought that it was going to be Tucker. It would make sense if that was, the connection, and if Tucker was somehow prodding from behind the scenes now to take over Chancellor, because that's what he really wanted, his family company. But I don't know if that's the truth. I don't know who's going to inherit the company. A good question for you guys, and I think this is going to be really important and play a big role in the future, is who do you think will or should, who do you think should inherit Chancellor Industries? I put a poll up at yrchat.com. Just go straight there on the front page, right side, there's a poll. Who should inherit Chancellor Industries? Do you think it should be Nikki? Should it be Jill? Should it be Victor? Catherine and Victor were longtime friends, longtime business associates. Could Victor be the best person to run it? I mean, what about some kind of crazy wild card storyline twist? What if it was Murphy? What if it was Esther? What if it was Kane? Who do you think should inherit Chancellor Industries? Go to yrchat.com and vote in that poll, because I am really curious to know what you guys think, and I'm excited about what twist that might be for the future. Now, the question of who is Adam's secret investor is coming up, and Victor starts to press Adam again about who it could be. It is ridiculous to me that Victor would even let Adam go this long without revealing the investor. Victor should have insisted, pushed Adam to reveal who this is. Just because Newman is back in private hands doesn't mean that there can't still be an outside force. And Victor's way too smart to let that happen. So why didn't Victor just find out? Why can't he just have his guys go through the bank records and find out who the heck this secret investor, secret person who's going to have control over the company is going to be? Adam has lied about it every time he's been pressed, and this week he came up with a kind of a funny lie to throw Victor off, telling him that the investor was some sort of group of his Harvard classmates, and whatever. He thought, he played it off like, yeah, I thought you'd be mad because I know you don't like good old boys. You're a self-made man, and these guys were from Harvard, and that's why I didn't tell you. And even made up the whole story. Like, Victor asked who the individual names of the investor groups were, and he said something like, it's called Fishhook Capital, and it was me and a bunch of guys who went on a fishing trip, and they have like really ridiculous names like Stinky and G-Man and Double D, and it was a ridiculous lie, but by the way, totally worth it just to hear the words Stinky and G-Man and Double D coming out of Victor Newman's mouth. That I appreciated. But Victor doesn't believe it. Adam knows that Victor doesn't believe it, but Adam kind of blows up at Victor and says, I'm tired of playing this game with you. I'm the one that got this company back, not Victoria, not Nick, not even you. So I'm done. If you don't want to trust me, which Victor shouldn't, if you don't want to trust me, then forget it. You don't need my help. He even just flat out said, I'm done trying to measure up. And he stomps off and leaves Victor. And hey, I just thought of this, but what if Fishhook Capital was actually Murphy? That would make more sense. Murphy's the fisherman. Murphy could be the secret investor. But no. Even though Victor, as soon as Adam leaves, Victor sets up total surveillance on Adam. Calls his security guy, says, I want Adam's phone bugged, I want his apartment bugged, I want his car bugged, I want his shower bugged, I want all of his clothes bugged. Bug this guy. As pretty much as soon as after that happened, after Victor set up his surveillance, we see Adam on another super secret phone call saying something to his mystery investor, and the very next scene is Jack swiveling around in his chair on the phone, clearly with Adam, revealing that Jack is the mystery investor. Pfft. I don't know. My initial, as soon as Jack swiveled around, it felt like it should have been such a dramatic moment, because there was a split, maybe 1.5 second interval where I was watching the chair swivel and it wasn't revealed yet, and I thought, oh, this is gonna be good, it's gonna be Tucker, who's gonna be? Jack. Wah, wah. I mean, come on. Is that really the best that we can come up with? Jack is the investor? And I got a really good voicemail, really good point from Michael this week. A YNR chat friend says, hey, where does Jack even get the money? How are we supposed to believe that? Jack has been struggling for money for years. Now all of a sudden he has a bunch of money to just invest in buying a whole company, a whole huge company back. That company is worth billions of dollars that have been built from the ground up. And Jack just came up with billions of dollars to invest with Adam out of nowhere. It does feel like a little bit of a letdown. I mean, shoot, I could have predicted that. I mean, couldn't it have been anybody else? Okay, if it's Tucker, I thought it was going to be a Tucker. And all right, so you're not going to bring Tucker back. You got to deal with the cast you have now. I can accept if it's not Tucker. But what about Devon? What about him maybe saving up his money, or have gotten a secret chunk of money from Catherine or something to come in and buy up? That would have been an interesting twist. Or for crying out loud, Victoria or Nick or anybody really less predictable than Jack? Chelsea runs into Melanie at the coffee house early this week and calls her out about this ridiculous rape charge. And it was actually an interesting scene because Chelsea said to Melanie, I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly what it feels like to be used up by Adam, and I get why you did what you did. I don't necessarily think that Chelsea was used up by Adam. I don't think she's the innocent victim in the downfall of that marriage. But at the same time, it worked as far as getting Melanie to change her mind. I mean, this rape charge is going to follow Adam everywhere he goes. Do you really want to do that to him? And it was the kind of straight chalk that Melanie needed to hear. It was like the one good thing that Chelsea has done lately. And it happened at exactly the right time because Adam was just having lunch with Jack and confided in Jack that he wanted to just skip town and leave forever, skip bail, like just goodbye, can't beat this rape charge, I'm never going to be free, I might as well just leave town and be on the lam forever, which would have been a huge life-altering decision. But Paul overheard the whole thing, reminds Adam that he shouldn't be leaving town, and next thing we know, Adam shows up at Chelsea's house and announces that Melanie has totally dropped the rape charges. That kind of came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, that whole thing is gone. Like, the actress is gone. I read an update this week that the actress is done filming scenes, so Melanie ain't coming back. Like, hey, do you guys remember that whole 3-week long rape storyline that went nowhere? What was the point of that? Was it just so that it could make Chelsea seem slightly less horrible by rescuing Adam? I have no idea. I mean, yeah, Chelsea is lying to Adam and keeping his newborn son away from him, but she totally made that rape charge disappear, so, good on her. No, that's not how it works at all. That was so harsh and so random to just be over so quickly, although I'm glad it is because I didn't even want to deal with that ridiculousness. But you guys tell me, why do you think that Chelsea even did that in the first place? Why did she go out of her way for Adam? Was it because she was feeling guilty? Was it because she just wanted to, is it because she still loves Adam? I don't know. You guys tell me, why did Chelsea even do that? Because as Adam is telling her that the rape charges are gone and wanting to thank her and wanting to repay her, she says to him straight up, you want to repay me? Stay away from me. So she doesn't want Adam anywhere near her. She can't risk Adam being around the baby. Plus, Dylan is like a guard dog anytime anybody comes near his son. Just kind of on a little bit of a side note, it's a little bit cute the way Billy and Dylan have become chummy. I don't know. Billy just was a little more charming to me this week. There was this really sweet scene after Billy had built that bookshelf right in the middle of Victoria's living room. I would have been like, you better take that out back. You are not going to be sawing or hammering or doing anything in the middle of my living room. Go outside. Do we not have a garage? There will be no power tools in my living room, but Victoria put up with it. They finished the bookshelf. It looked like crap, so Billy calls Dylan over to fix it, and it was just cute. There was this talk between the two guys. Dylan said, you know what, I'll just build you a new one, and Billy says, no, you don't get it. The thing is, Delia helped me make it, and so therefore I just need you to fix it so it's not horrible. And there was this moment where Billy was trying to coach Dylan about being a father. You know, it doesn't matter how many popsicle stick frame pictures your child makes you, you save everything. It was just cute. It really made me like Billy. I connected with him in that moment, and it's been a little while since I've connected with him. I like seeing how good he is with his kids, and it's just too bad that Dylan's kid isn't really his kid. I wonder if, since Victoria knows the truth that Dylan's not really that child's father, I wonder if she will somehow slip up to Billy and maybe Billy will learn the truth. And I wonder if, since Billy is becoming friends with Dylan, if he will feel compelled to tell the truth to Dylan. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Connor's paternity just got way more obvious, you guys. Chelsea and Dylan get a phone call from the doctor saying they want to see him again. And at first it's like, oh yeah, it's just an appointment because the doctor has to check up on all preemie babies, all preemie babies that are not really preemies. And the doctors know it too. But as soon as Dylan and Chelsea get to the office, the doctor reveals to them there's a problem with the child. And big surprise, it's his eyes. Well, as if we didn't all kind of guess that was coming, the doctor reveals that there is a significant chance that Connor could go blind, like his father and his father's mother. Oh man, I shouldn't laugh because it's really sad for the child, but I mean, the doctor straight up said this is a degenerative eye disease that is inherited from the parents. Do Anita and Jeff look blind to you? Dylan just stood there like he didn't even hear the part about the fact that it was inherited. I mean, how is Chelsea gonna come up with a lie to cover that? I don't know what Dylan's going to do. I don't know if Dylan's going to disconnect and try to make up some kind of lie to say, oh yeah, there was some kind of degenerative eye disease on my side of the family too. I don't know what kind of lie that these two are going to have to scramble to come up this time, because really any idiot could figure it out. Nick can tell, Avery can tell, everyone can tell that Sharon is still pining for Nick, and it's that idea of them getting back together again that's in Sharon's head that's making Faith treat Avery horribly and hold on to this idea that her parents are going to get back together. So Nick pressures Sharon to talk to Faith, make it a little easier on Avery. So Sharon does. To her credit, she did what Nick asked her to do, and she sits down with Faith and sets her straight and says, Daddy's going to be married to Avery, and that's okay. We're still a family, and it seems as if Sharon has done the right thing, but then there's this look on her face that says to me, she's got an agenda. She may have had to do this to appease Nick and make it look like she doesn't have an agenda, but she still has an agenda. Nick and Avery are trying to plan this quickie wedding because Avery is so concerned that Nick is going to fall to Sharon's wily ways. So they're rushing to put together this wedding. Nick did a really sweet thing in grabbing all of those pictures that Faith had torn up, and he taped them back together and gave them back to Avery. And Avery's breaking my heart in that moment. I felt really bad for her because Faith was really mean. I hate to see anybody get picked on, and I felt like Faith was really mean to her, and that would hurt my feelings. If I was Avery trying to connect with Nick's child and the kid was so mean enough to tear up something that meant something to me, it would break my heart. I'm too sensitive for that. So I felt really bad for Avery. She is just struggling to hold on to some sense of normality, some sense of happy ever after, and she can't help but, I think, compare her life to where Dylan is right now. Here she is embarking upon a marriage, a life commitment, and she really didn't think she was gonna get married again, and if she did, she probably thought it was going to be with Dylan, and now Dylan has this new child, and so Avery's trying to bridge that gap a little bit. She's clearly thinking about Dylan. She decides to send him a gift, to kind of celebrate the newborn, and it was a onesie or something with a lion all over it. And that was something that they had shared. There was a flashback of them when Dylan had first come onto the scene of him buying their child when Avery was pregnant a little stuffed lion. And now Avery remembered that, and she sent him a gift that signified that. It wasn't just any gift. It was a meaningful gift. She still has a soft spot for Dylan. I'm sure that Avery thought the next time she was even considering getting married, it would have been with Dylan. So really all Sharon has to do to break Nick and Avery up would be to poke that. Sharon just needs to see if she can reunite Avery and Dylan. That's really the best strategy. But I don't know if this wedding is going to happen at all. Victoria comes in like a tornado head trying to plan Avery's wedding, which was, I would have been annoyed with, like, can I just please have some control over my wedding and not have a Newman up in my face about it? But Victoria was trying to be helpful, and there was this scene where Avery and Victoria are alone together. Dylan comes up, and Victoria just said something, and I can't even remember what it was, but she said something that indicated that maybe Dylan's not the father. I mean, since Victoria's one of the only people that knows, we know that that's what she was getting at, but she said something about, like, well, you never know, in regards to Dylan, and she knows damn well the truth. So Avery sensed something weird in Victoria's reaction and kind of asked Victoria about it. She came up with this story, and it was very awkward between the two women, but it was obvious that something was up. And Avery did go to the coffee house later and ended up running into Dylan, and they had a little bit of time to chat, but Avery needs to really dig in and talk to Dylan, because Dylan needs to open up to somebody. I need to know what is going on in his blank head, his blank face. What's going on the inside there, Dylan? I can't tell if Dylan is just as calculating as Chelsea and knows everything about the baby's paternity, or if he's just the dumbest man on the face of the earth. Isn't it weird to see Victor and Jack fighting over a grown girl? There's just something about it that isn't right. She's not a child. She's over 18. She's practically a grown woman, and they're fighting over whose family she's gonna be in. It's just one more excuse for Victor and Jack to hate each other. Hey, by the way, did Summer get extensions this week? Because I could swear at the beginning of the week her hair was shorter, and then toward the end of the week it was like 4 inches longer. She looked really good in that little white dress, though. I mean, how adorable was that? But I swear her hair was not that long. Oh well. It's just, the Victor and Jack feud continues over ridiculous things. It's hard to believe that they're fighting over this grown woman. Victor suggests to Summer this week that she should just get away. They have some property. I can't even remember where he said. They had some kind of beach house or something. You should just go to the beach house and relax and don't think about any of this stuff. And really, Victor just wants to keep her away from Jack, and Jack wants to keep Summer away from Victor. And Victor and Jack end up fighting over Summer right in the middle of the athletic club dining room. It's just embarrassing. Victor had remarked that Catherine had told Victor that family is the only legacy worth leaving. And I thought that's a really, really good line. And it's something that Victor took to heart and was using as an excuse to continue to fight for Summer. Family is the only legacy worth leaving. But Victor, if you continue to treat Summer the way that you do your own family, you can just kiss her goodbye. Hasn't he figured out by now that the harder he pushes, the farther away the people in his family that he loves, that he wants to surround himself with, get? Nick seems to be the only one who knows how to manage his daughter, trying to keep his distance from her. I mean, they're in the hot coffee house at the same time this week, and Nick doesn't even go up to her. He's just letting her have her space, which is something that Jack is not doing. Even Nick had to go to Jack and plead him to just back off of her. Summer's feeling all of this pressure, and it's making her just want to run away and leave town. And Nikki ended up coming into the coffee house and having a little bit of a talk with Nick, and she sees that Nick and Summer are both in the same place, not talking to one another, understanding that Nick had wanted to respect Summer's wishes and just give her space. And Nikki said, you know, that doesn't apply to grandmothers. So she just walks right over to Summer, and there was something about that scene between Nikki and Summer where Nikki just seemed so desperate. It was almost like she was clawing at Summer, just like, hold on to your life, little girl, before it slips away. There was something just totally on edge about Nikki in that scene. And of course, Nikki just lost her best friend. She's got something else major weighing on her mind, but she's just trying to give Summer this advice, something that I think Catherine would have said. The people that you love, make sure you bring them in. Don't push them away. I swear that could have come directly from Catherine's mouth. But I got a really good voicemail, many from YNR chat friend Gary, who mentioned that it seems like every time we see Nikki lately, she is very maudlin. She's never happy. She's always in tears. When was the last time you saw Nikki happy? There was probably a brief moment at the wedding before, the gas line got cut and Adam got shot. Her husband almost got assassinated. I think that was the last time I really saw Nikki smile. It's just been all tears lately, and as soon as the conversation with Summer ended, Summer left and Nikki turned back around to Nick and was just like, she's gonna leave town and you can't let her. There just seemed like something extra desperate about Nikki lately. And I think the same really could be said for Jack. He seems extra desperate lately. He ended up having a little bit of a moment with Summer later on at Jabot where, he had asked her, do you want to come back to work? What level of, comfort, what are you feeling right now? And he apologized for pressuring her. I think in Jack's defense, he just wants to know his daughter, who he thinks is his daughter, but she's not ready. And he doesn't know how to do anything gingerly. He's exactly like Victor in that way, that he can't do anything but push hard to get his way. He's used to having to fight for everything that he has. And Summer called him out on it and said, you're more like Grandpa than you think. I was like, hallelujah, girl. It's about time somebody called that out, because it's very, very true. And it is unflattering for both Victor and Jack, the way they're just behaving right now. And actually, oddly, Kyle tried to warn Jack this week and say, you're pushing her too hard. It seems like you're more interested in what's best for you and what your needs are than what's best for Summer. And I have to admit to you, I've actually liked Kyle a little bit more this week. I was surprised with myself, believe me. Kyle seemed a little bit more human to me this week. Like he had a little bit more personality, a little bit more something in his face that I was happy to see. And another really good voicemail I got from YNR chat friend Anna had mentioned that she was having a harder time connecting with a lot of the younger characters. And it's certainly not that we want to dislike anybody new. Like, we only keep our core characters and everybody else, we don't want them. But, she made a really good point that really YNR, if you're going to have the younger characters on, if you're going to have these secondary characters on, like Kyle, give them a personality, give them something to do, give us a reason to like them. I don't want to have new characters up in my face every 5 seconds the way they did with Dylan and Chelsea. But yeah, it's taken this long for me to get to a point where I was even able to see the tiniest little glimmer of something in Kyle's eyes, and it was actually nice to see it. I'm curious to know if you guys saw that at all this week. Kyle chases Summer down at the coffee house and tells her that he had overheard from Jack that Jack had offered to take Summer on the private jet to Georgia to go spend some time with Phyllis. And while Summer wants to spend time with Phyllis, it does appear, at least to the outside, that she's sort of picking a side, that of all of the people, even though she's not talking to anyone really right now, of all of the people she chose to spend the time with Jack, which was going to make Victor upset, which was going to make Nick upset. And Kyle actually said, don't let this become about the sides, I understand you want to go see your mother, but I don't want you to get caught in the middle of all of these guys. In fact, Kyle actually said, these guys are only out for themselves. It's not about you. And he's detected that. And I thought, I was glad to see that of him. He had my perspective a little bit more. Like it does seem like Victor and Jack are only interested in themselves. And again, I got a lot of really good voicemails this week, and Michael had called in, and I think he's made this point before, it does feel like Summer is taking a really weak position. She doesn't seem like Phyllis's daughter. It seems like Summer should be like, I'm not going to take anybody's side. I'm Summer Newman. I'm my own individual. I'm going to make my own choices, and you guys can all just deal with it. But there's not that. It's a very broken little girl, and I'm not saying she should, after everything she's been through, act tough or pretend to be tough, but it does seem a little bit like she just doesn't have a whole lot of a personality going on. I mean, at this point, like, Courtney has more of a personality than Summer does, even though I have enjoyed Summer quite a bit more throughout the last couple of weeks. So, Courtney. Since when has Courtney become such a good friend to Summer? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's like comforting her, like, Summer, you need to talk to somebody and don't run away from your problems. Suddenly she's the wise, sage old friend. When did that happen? Since Noah needed a girlfriend and the writers realized that, that's when that happened. I'll tell you right now, that's when that happened. It just feels like, I don't know, they're just pulling this Courtney-Noah connection out of nowhere. I mean, Tyler is really hardcore pressing Noah to get involved with Courtney since she obviously has this crush on him. And Tyler was being a little bit irritating with how hard he was pushing Noah. Noah's just like wanting to chill back. And I mean, I'm sure Noah does not have a hard time meeting ladies. I don't know since when Noah needs coaching from Tyler, but I did enjoy their little steam room session. Tyler and Noah are just both shirtless with a towel in the steam room. I was hoping that they would accidentally drop a towel just so, just so we could see something. Give a little excitement to the week, or at least I wouldn't have minded an invite into that steam room just to hang out there between the two guys. That was kind of cute, and it was something different. But, the Courtney thing just feels like it's coming out of left field for me. She was totally a bad kid for a while, and now all of a sudden she's good enough for Noah. She's got this job interview at Jabot. Oh, magically the same place that Noah is working right now. And Summer introduces Courtney to Abby, who is interviewing for Jabot. I hardly even barely buy that Abby is capable of holding down a corporate job at Jabot. But Abby interviews Courtney, and Courtney magically aces the interview with flying colors, says, okay, well, I don't have a lot of, oh, and by the way, this is for an internship, so it's for an unpaid position. For crying out loud, they should just accept their slave labor. But no, Courtney has to prove herself, and she tells Abby, I don't have a lot of experience, but I just have practical experience, and I can tell just by looking at you that you're wearing Jabot sparkly eyeshadow with the creamy nude lipstick or whatever. She just basically lists everything that Abby has on her face and just wows her, just blows her out of the water. And all I could think was, how can you tell what brand, what kind of mascara that Abby is wearing? Because Courtney nailed it right down to what kind of mascara that Abby was wearing. I'm like, okay. Lipstick, eyeshadow, sure, you can tell probably what shade she's wearing, but mascara is mascara. I'm sorry. It was a little bit heavy-handed in that. It's just weird. She's been a bad influence with Summer from the beginning, and now all of a sudden, she's a cosmetic whiz and a perfect match for Noah. My YNR chat friend Gary had mentioned to me this week that there was a preemption during YNR on the West Coast, and you guys didn't get to see the full conclusion of what happened with Michael and Lauren and Carmine, and I just thought, well, that's just terrible. I mean, what was it? You got a preemption from the president telling you about the war, and we need to get our priorities straight, America. Lauren and Carmine and Michael were having a showdown. Can you just hold the press conference, Mr. President? I'm sorry. I thought that was kind of funny. And I hate it. I hate it when that happens. I mean, obviously that was probably a good reason for a press conference, but a lot of times they do it, they preempt for ridiculous reasons, or golf or something, and it's like, who cares about golf? Why not? So, by the way, I decided, I don't get preempted usually because I download torrents of the show, which is kind of not legal, but it's like one of those not legal but everyone does it sort of things, and I just download full episodes and just watch it, and I don't have commercials, and I don't have to deal with the crap. And so I thought, you know what, I need to put up, just for you guys, if you ever miss an episode, it's really hard to find them on YouTube anymore. There used to be people who posted the shows regularly, and they don't. The YouTube counts get suspended right away. They really crack down on that. But I have had no problem downloading torrents. I mean, I don't want to tell you to do something illegal, but I will put up a link. I'll post in the forums some instructions on how to download full episodes of YNR. Usually the episodes are posted the day after they air, so it's not immediate, and you may have to wait a little bit. But if you miss a show and you want to go back and watch it, that's a really good way to do it. So go to yrchat.com, and I'll have that posted in the forums. And if you have any questions about it, you can ask me. I've been doing it for like over a year now, and actually probably longer than that. It's just easier. So anyway, back to the craziness that happened with Carmine. I mean, it was strange that he just came back for like one day to wrap all of that up. All of a sudden, Lauren started having these nightmares about Carmine, and she had one where she just looked up and saw him, and he's sitting there and he just says, "Miss me, baby?" And she wakes up out of the nightmare. But I thought, well, Carmine kind of has this fabulous new beard. So that couldn't have been a total nightmare. I thought Carmine actually looked better with his little beard than he did before. I was digging him a little bit more this week. He was a good looking guy. It's too bad he had to turn out to be like too crazy. But because Lauren's having these nightmares, she and Michael end up going to Paul just to get a status on the case and find out where in the heck Carmine is. Now, meanwhile, he's breaking into their apartment. Alex, remember him? Do you guys remember Alex? He got a lead that Carmine is in Chicago, but Kevin is overhearing this whole thing. He doesn't believe it. He has a hunch. He thinks that this lead that puts Carmine in Chicago is just to throw everybody off, and he thinks that actually Carmine is closer than they think, which is true. Lauren and Michael leave the police station, go home, and walk through the door and realize it smells like gas in here. Doesn't it? Doesn't it a little smell like gas? Michael goes to the kitchen to check it out, and out of nowhere, Carmine pops up, knocks Michael out. Michael goes down onto the ground, and Carmine's just standing over there. I'm like, hey, I gotcha. But like the thing is, I'm surprised Carmine didn't pass out right alongside him. So, okay, let me just make sure I got this right. Carmine went into Lauren and Michael's apartment. He turned on the gas for a really long time and then just waited for them to show up. So he stood there the entire time breathing that gas in. Michael goes down. Carmine goes out into the living room, or I think Lauren maybe came to find out where Michael was or whatever, but Carmine pops out and he snags Lauren, and he's got her kind of in a hold, a really tight hold, and he tells her, "You're not going anywhere, you and I are gonna die together now." So that was kind of deliciously unexpected, actually. I thought, well, that is an interesting twist. Carmine all of a sudden, by the way, looking really hot in his maintenance uniform, has concocted this idea that he wants, if he can't have Lauren, nobody's gonna have her. He's just gonna kill them all. So he's gonna turn on the gas and just wait for them all to die. And I thought, well, that is just really dark in kind of a good, sick, twisted way. I sort of enjoyed it. And Lauren realizes that her life is on the line, so she's got to do everything that she's got to do to get out of it. And she again kind of flips that switch over to sexy, and she starts telling him everything he wants to hear. Just, let's just get out of here, baby. We can be together. It doesn't have to happen this way. We can just, let's just get out of here and go live happily ever after. And I'm thinking, he's not going to fall for that again. I mean, she did the exact same thing when he held her hostage, and it didn't work then. He just ended up getting stabbed with a fork in the arm or something, so I can't believe it. So that wasn't working. She sort of switched over her strategy to just begging. She starts begging him to let her go. She has a son, and he needs her, and don't you care about Fen? And Carmine says, I do care about Fen. He reminds me of me when I was younger. And the entire time, Carmine is just breathing in this gas-filled air, just taking these huge inhales, almost like he is just looking forward to dying. And I loved the way the actor made me feel it. Like he just took this big inhale and had this crazy look on his face, like he wanted to die. Like in Carmine's head, he was gonna have this weird heaven fantasy where they both die, ascend on up to heaven, and Lauren is just there waiting for him, maybe in a tight white sexy angel outfit, and there's all the chocolate covered strawberries that they can eat, and it was just harps playing and just love. Like that in his head is what was gonna happen, really? But it was weird and kind of great, actually. While all of this is going on, Lauren is struggling. Michael Lauren's actually starting to kind of pass out from the gas, but Michael is starting to wake up out of, after Carmine had hit him over the head. He was actually woke up in this environment, and then all of a sudden Michael comes after Carmine and just like throws him off of Lauren, and they have this huge fight right in the living room. Lauren kind of runs off like, again, very comical. Something about Lauren I did not like in that. Just, I don't know, I want strong Lauren, and she was just like, oh, save me, Michael. But Michael starts punching on Carmine. He gets a couple of good throws in, and then Michael kind of throws Carmine down over, I guess it was a coffee table or something, and he had him pinned down to where Carmine couldn't really move, and it was this awkward standoff. Like Michael probably wanted to bite his face off, but Carmine is just ready for it. Like he's happy for it. And Lauren all of a sudden brings out the gun. She busts out a gun that she had, and she pointed it right at Carmine, and she tells Michael, just get out of the way. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna end this now. And Michael is in this position where he has to convince her not to do it, because she convinced him not to kill Carmine a couple of weeks ago, and now he has to return the favor. He doesn't want Lauren to have to spend the rest of her life in jail. It's not worth it just to kill this guy. So Michael talks her down from doing this, even though Michael deep down wants Carmine to be dead too. So now, meanwhile, Kevin figures out, through some ridiculous circumstance, that Carmine got some money out of an ATM, and that he could be posing as a maintenance guy in their building. It was very, very convenient. So just as Lauren is pointing the gun at Carmine, Paul busts in the room, and the cops go to immediately arrest Carmine. Never mind the woman that's standing in the room with the gun. They totally ignored that. Lauren just sort of had the gun sort of floppy in her hand while they went to arrest Carmine. And that was really it, honestly. Carmine gets arrested, and Paul saves the day. They kind of, it was weird. Like, they have Carmine standing off on the side with this other police officer, and Michael comes up to Lauren, and he's talking to him. Michael's kind of bruised up, says, hey, you might want to see a doctor about that bruised up face. And by the way, you might also want to air this place out. Yeah! I couldn't even believe Paul said that. It was all wrapped up with just this neat little bow. Like, yeah, you might want to air this place out. Like, hasn't that gas been on for a while? Don't you think that maybe they should evacuate the building? It was just sort of like, okay, well, wiping my hands clean of that. This is all done. Just air out the room and, go see the doctor, and it's all fine. Whatever. If anybody lights a cigarette in that building, the whole place could blow sky high. I mean, you see all these things on the news. I mean, they call in the bomb squad for like a note that's written on a restroom door or something. And then now there's actually a physical threat, and they're just like, yeah, it's cool. Just keep the door open. Maybe open up some windows in your really high-rise condo where you don't have any windows. Whatever, that part was stupid, but there was a really good part where they've got Carmine in handcuffs and he's just sort of standing there defeated and looking at her still like, I love you, Lord. She walks right up to him and she smacks him across the face as hard as she could, and she just says, you know what, for the rest of your life, you're gonna wish I would have killed you. Ooh, that was good. That was a really, really good line, and it was nice to see her finally fight back for herself and not just be this damsel in distress. It was very, very fantastic. But at the same time, I do feel like it was just this one day weird resolution on a storyline that had been going on for a really long time. I personally theorize that Y&R was planning on killing Carmine. I think they were leading up to a Who Killed Carmine storyline for months. I mean, anytime you have more than one character on a soap saying, oh, I could kill you, that guy's gonna die. And that's exactly where they were headed for it. But I think they realized that it was way too predictable. So they gave the storyline a break for a couple of weeks, came back and filmed an alternate ending. I totally believe this, and just came back with this jail resolution instead, because Carmine goes off to jail, and really the last shot of him we saw was him just sitting in a jail cell behind bars. And I don't know, what do you guys think about all of that? I mean, is this the last we've seen of Carmine? Well, the big twist for the blogger story with Neil and Lily and Kane is that Mason is involved and connected with Hilary, although I don't know, just from the conversations between Mason and Hilary, it seems like Mason is more of a tool for Hilary. I thought, oh, well, that'd be kind of good if Mason was like a mastermind and he sort of had some backstory. It just seems like he wants to sleep with her and he's doing whatever she wants, because he essentially is her photographer. He's helping her do whatever she wants to do. He took this photo of Kane shirtless in his hotel room when he went on a business trip, and Hilary in the foreground at the window kind of holding her blouse, looking like she's either dressing or undressing or one or the other. But then they posted a new blogger article saying, I can't remember what the headline was, but essentially implying that Kane is cheating on Lily. And Mason and Hilary start talking to each other, and he's all about like, I want to know that I mean something to you, and she's basically saying, you're gonna get yours, I'll give you the nookie that you want later. Right now my whole focus is causing pain to be caused for Neil. And she even mentioned something about it being on her mother's behalf. She wanted to cause Neil pain for her mother's sake. So I guess, Sue Ellen, your theory, my theory, which I had come to adopt, that Melanie was actually Anne's daughter and the blogger is kaput, which is really disappointing, because I think that would have been wonderful. And it just, I just felt to me like Hilary being the blogger was way too obvious. I mean, remember that party with the twins, and Neil kind of seemed like when he first met Hilary, he kind of seemed like he knew her. I don't think they ever met before. I don't know. It just all seemed way too obvious. I thought, oh, maybe there'll be a twist here and that. It's not. It's exactly as obvious as we thought it was going to be. It was a big, roundabout, long way to get to something that just doesn't feel very compelling to me, to be entirely honest with you. But Lily is starting to figure out that Hilary is the cause of all of this. I mean, come on, how hard is it to figure out? All of the blogs lately have been about her relationship with Kane. And she can tell that Hilary is leaving perfume on her man, spending time with her man, bringing her man chicken soup. Really, really being all about Kane. Kane is clueless. Lily brings up that she feels uncomfortable by Lily brings up that she feels uncomfortable about Hilary, and Kane he wants to defend Hilary. I don't even know why. If Hilary is making Lily feel uncomfortable, Kane should just fire her, get rid of her, transfer her. I mean, really, your wife's feelings are what's important. Why insist on having her? Hilary just does not seem like she's going to go down without a fight. I think she's got a lot still up her sleeve. It's just weird. It's like Mason seems way into her. She doesn't seem into him. She just wants to enact this revenge. She even said something like, I want to make Neil bleed, which, by going after his daughter's marriage, That's not a very direct route to get what you want. Why did you, if you want to make Neil bleed, why did you stop going after Neil? Why are you going after Lily and Kane? It feels elaborate. It feels really elaborate. And Neil is also starting to figure it out. Last week, he got the tip that some of the phone calls that Anne made were to or from a Newman Enterprises phone. So Neil ends up going to Mason, since Mason was working for Newman Enterprises at that time, and he starts questioning him. And Mason is always kind of shifty. He's always not even a very good liar. He just always seems sort of like thrust into a position of trying to be a bad guy, but he's not really comfortable with it. And Neil detected that and realized that Mason knew more than he was saying. So separately, Devon's starting to put together the real truth about Hilary. There was a scene where Kane and Lily were in the back of the coffee house making up, sort of hugging and, I don't know, being a married couple, while Hilary was on looking at them just with crazy eyes and stalky eyes. And Devon came up behind her and said, "I know exactly what you're doing, knock it off." And Hilary tried to be like, "Oh no, Devon, it's not what you think." But Devon's not stupid. He knows exactly what's going on, that Hilary seems suspicious. Devon tells Neil about his suspicions with Hilary, and Neil tells Devon that Mason was acting shifty, so they're comparing notes. Kane is as oblivious with Hilary as Lily was with Tyler. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Lily comes up with this plan that in order to see if Hilary is really the blogger or causing these problems for them, they're just going to try to give her what she wants. They're going to just go along with her, make Hilary think that she has successfully caused problems in their marriage, and like let Kane go ahead and just sort of lead her on, I guess. I don't get it. I mean, it seems like it's a bad idea. I mean, Lily, like, how could letting your husband kiss up and get snuggly with another woman possibly backfire on you? Okay, you guys, that does it for me for my post-vacation Y&R chat. It's really good to be back with you guys. I snooped up a little bit on casting updates and saw that Ashley's coming back. It's only going to be for 3 days, and I don't know what the storyline's going to be, but I saw that she's filming scenes now, and she should be coming back to the show in late October, or we should be seeing her on screen in late October. So that's really good news, and maybe it'll open up the door for something a little more long-term. Fingers crossed. I'm excited about that. Gosh, since I was on vacation last week, I really have not had a chance to do a whole lot of Y&R research, so please forgive me. I have not been at the website very much at all, but I'm going to definitely try to get things going there at yrchat.com. Again, put some blog posts up, try to get some conversation going a little bit more there. So feel free to check that out. Go vote in the poll who you think should inherit Chancellor Industries. See what else I got going on there. It's always really nice to hear from you guys, so if you want to call in and leave me a voicemail, you can do so. My telephone number is 309-588-4569. Got a really cool voicemail from Clinton in Seattle while I was on vacation. Really made me smile. It's always nice hearing from everybody. I really, really appreciate it. It totally warms my heart. But also, I love getting text comments, so don't be afraid to leave a text comment here in the YouTube channel. I will be reading and responding to those this week. If you want to go to yrchat.com, I do respond to forum posts. I have not been there this week, so please forgive me. I've not done a very good job of responding this week, but I am looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. I love my show, and I love you guys. So, everybody take care. I'll see you next week. Bye!